Coach Harris, last season, early on, got some ranked teams coming in here, going on the road, and battled with them. And then in the second half of the year, really got some consistency. Got Nick Drake to start doing some things on the wing. But evaluate last year and our really first year playing some top flight Division II competition.
Well, that was our goal. When we set out making the transition from NAI to NCAA Division II. Our goal was to play as tough a schedule as we could possibly play, and I believe at one time last year in the NCAA rankings, we played the fourth toughest schedule in the country. Not being able to participate in postseason, like I say, that was our goal. We wanted to see what we would need to incorporate into our program to be prepared when we are eligible for postseason play.
Kind of describe what changes and improvements we made. I know you're going to describe our locker room and adding a little bit of a feel and a real presence, but during the offseason, what was the focus on improving the team?
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do, again, in transition, your players have to be able to visibly be able to see change. We talk about it, it's more than a visible change. It's the mental preparedness that takes place in the transition. And so we physically, did some graphics and some remodeling in our locker room. Our kids lifted hard all summer. We have a couple guys that put on 18 to 22 pounds of muscle over the summer, and part of that is a maturation process from freshmen to sophomores. But I think you'll see us at least be able to fill up our uniforms this year and not have them hanging off of us.
All right, let's talk about your style of play. I know we haven't had a practice, and we haven't even had an exhibition game yet, but that'll come. Right now, if you're looking on paper, what kind of play do we want to see out of our team this coming year?
Well, we try to recruit from the standpoint that we looked in the competition that we played and seeing the ranked teams play, and they have a lot of kids that can shoot it on the floor. So we've kind of gone away from the traditional low post player. We try to recruit forwards that can score with it out on the floor, trying to create mismatches. You'll probably see us play a little bit a combination of what we did last year and a little bit more of up-tempo, screening on the ball, screen and pop with fours and fives, because our kids are really going to be perimeter post players.
Let's talk about some of our top returning players. Nick Drake had a solid second half of the season, January and February. Christopher Elliott came along, threw down on Oakland City, and brought the crowd up. Talking about some of our top returning players and what their roles will be on and off the court.
Well, I think you hit on the two keys, really, on our returning players, and Nick Drake and Christopher Elliott. Both of them had to believe first, and that's what I'm talking about, the mental preparedness. In our recruiting class last year, we recruited kids, being that we had 4 seniors last year. But in order to play a nationally caliber schedule, kids have to believe that you're prepared to play and that they can play. And that's what really Nick and Christopher ended up doing last year. They went from thinking, where am I, how did I get here, to I really can contribute, I really can help. And at the end of the year, you saw totally two different players than what you saw at the early going in the year. And then you saw, I think Nick was rewarded with the Freshman Player of the Year in the conference. And I think we've got a good freshman this year, to lead into our new players. We got a couple really good-looking freshmen. I think Matt Pond from right here in town will be a player that the conference will take notice of early on. He's one of those combo guys. He's going to be able to play the 3 or 4, maybe even some 5 for us. He's one of the kids that has put on about 20 pounds over the course of the summer lifting. And I think, hopefully, we're not going to jinx him, but I think we'll have Matt Pond will be one of the freshman kids that will be considered for Freshman of the Year.
All right, let's move along to some of our new additions. You mentioned Pond, but David Woodard, Jordan Miles, Aaron Turner. What's their potential impact? I mean, we've seen them out on the floor. I've seen them out on the floor running around. Can step out, shoot the 3. And Woodard has a fierceness to him that I think is completely different from a year ago. Describe some of those guys and what their potential is.
Yeah, each one of those kids were recruited with a special trait in mind. Woodard's going to be able to get to the rim. He's athletic. He's going to play above the rim as a guard. For our fans, you'll see someone, you'll remind them of Ricky James from a few years ago. And they're real similar players. David may be a little bit better defensively than Ricky was at this point. But you're going to see him be able to attack the rim and create in the open court, which we're excited about. Aaron Turner, Jordan Miles are those kids we just described a little bit earlier. They're going to be able to play in the post. They're going to be able to slide out in the perimeter. If you ask them, they're wings. If you ask me, they're posts. So they're going to be able to shoot it. Out on the floor. It's going to help us in transition. I think we'll be able to spread teams out. If they decide to guard those guys because they're 6'6", 6'7", if teams decide to guard them with a guard, I think we'll be able to post those kids down inside. If they're going to guard them with the post, we'll be able to knock down jumpers on the perimeter. One of the kids that you haven't mentioned is Byron Sandiford. Byron came to us, transferred from University of Kentucky from Louisville, played on great high school teams, at Eastern High School in Louisville, and he right now, it could be the glue. He could be the difference maker for us with all the new kids we have coming in. He's going to be a quiet leader. I think the vocal leadership is going to fall to Nick and Christopher Elliott. I think the unsung hero in this mix is going to be Byron. Byron's going to be the one that's just going to be steady every time we step on the floor. We're trying to make, really, I hate to use this word, but we're trying to use we're guesstimating, because we haven't seen them play other than in the recruiting process. So when we all come together, if our chemistry falls into right, which right now our chemistry's been really good in preseason conditioning, if our chemistry falls into place and we agree that we're all going to share in common goals, I think this team can be something special.
All right, let's move along to what our goals and expectations are for this season. Looking at it last year, we saw the Alabama Huntsvilles. We get to play them again. We get to play North Alabama, but we saw they're ranked 16th. They're ranked 12th. Now we've got really a slate of GMAC teams and a few off-season trips, fall trips that we've got to make. Goals and expectations.
Well, it's interesting because again, you never know what the chemistry is once you start practice. Right now, all 15 of them think they're going to start. So chemistry is really good right now. But once we start on the floor and you start deciding who's going to play the majority of the minutes, it'll be important that our role players become an all-star at that position. And they have to be able to contribute, find a way to contribute, whether it's offensively, defensively, rebounding, doing something that's going to help our team be successful, that we can rest people, that we can keep people healthy. We can do a lot of different things. I think last year I felt like we had like 7 kids that could contribute. I think this year we got 10 to 12 kids that are going to be able to contribute.
What are your thoughts on the conference? We get to go out to West Virginia. We'll play a couple of teams for the first time, and we still have Cedarville, Central State in the mix. What do you think of the conference this year?
Well, I'm excited about the direction the conference is going. Obviously, we'd like to pick up a couple more southern schools so that we're not just traveling north. But at the same time, I think it's an exciting time to be a part of a newly formed conference by the NCAA. You're going to see that within the next year or so, especially with Kentucky Wesleyan coming in, as we add members to our conference, you're going to see this become a really great basketball conference. Particularly on the men's side, you're going to bring in nationally ranked people. Anytime you're bringing in nationally ranked people within your conference, if you can compete, in the conference, that you can compete nationally, regionally and nationally. So, our non-conference schedule this year is pretty tough. We got Alabama Huntsville twice. We got North Alabama, Carson Newman in that group. We go to McKendree. We get McKendree twice. So, we're playing a wide range between Gulf South, SAC, Great Lakes Conference. We're competing against the best schools, conferences in Division II.
We're 5.5 months away, but what's it going to take for us to win the conference this year?
Number one, I think we got to stay healthy. I think that's always a key at this level because even though we talk about playing 10 or 12 people, there's a couple of people that just can't get hurt. I think that's going to be crucial. Number two, I think the team that can adapt. We're going to be going some new places, like you mentioned. West Virginia schools have never been there. Last year was new for us, going to places that we hadn't been. We've got to show the ability to adapt and kind of make some changes I don't want to say in planning, but also we've got to be able to adapt to different home court situations that we're going to be in. And I think that's part of being able to play on the road. That's what we're hoping last year's schedule did for us. You know, playing in some pretty tough environments, playing in ranked teams on the road, playing people that maybe we weren't ready to play last year. You know, honestly, with our personnel. And I say that, but you know, we had a key player that got hurt that we were counting on playing. Had we had him, you know, some of those games may have turned out a little different.